At lunch, my stepmom said, "Your two children can eat low-cost food. I'm not throwing money away on them," while ordering luxury dishes for her daughter's kids. The sentence landed louder than the clatter of porcelain against marble. We were in Delilah's bistro, all glass and brass, a humming chandelier trembling above our table like a nervous heart. Truffle oil drifted through the air. My kids stared at their plain grilled cheese as if it were a puzzle they weren't allowed to solve. Forks chimed. Ice in my water thinned to a whisper. I kept my voice polite, a habit that has saved me, and betrayed me. I'm Ryder, the man who smooths edges when everyone else sharpens knives. I asked for lemonade for the kids. She waved it away and ordered caviar for her daughter's twins. Outside, a carousel poster promised the amusement park we had planned all week. My son pressed his sticky palm to the window, tracing the lights. I told myself to speak up. I didn't. The waitress slid over a check thick as a paperback novel. My stepmom pushed it toward me without looking. In the margin, I noticed something strange, her handwriting listing charges that didn't belong to this table. My pulse ticked with the chandelier. I folded the receipt slowly, slipping it into my jacket like a seed in winter soil. Across from me, my daughter lifted her eyes, clear and searching, as if she already knew what I was planting, and what might bloom. The drive home felt hollow, like the inside of a bell that had been struck too hard. The kids talked in the back seat about rides they might never see, cotton candy, roller coasters, pictures by the lake. I kept both hands fixed on the wheel, afraid that if I loosened my grip, my composure would shatter across the dashboard. At the house, the air smelled like lemon polish and something colder, the silence of a place that looked like family but didn't feel like it. My stepmom was already there, moving through the living room as if she owned every breath inside it. She laughed with her daughter on speakerphone, pretending I wasn't standing 3 feet away. I went to the kitchen and spread the receipt flat on the counter. Under the fluorescent light, the numbers glowed like small, patient accusations. I noticed a pattern: charges from restaurants we had never visited, dates when I'd been working late, totals that matched the allowance she'd been borrowing from my children's education fund. My phone buzzed. It was my lawyer, Elias Grant, calm, careful, and relentlessly precise. I sent him a photo of the receipt. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Outside, my son stood by the front window holding 2 amusement park tickets I had printed that morning. He folded them neatly in half, then in half again, until they were small enough to disappear inside his pocket. When I turned back to the counter, my stepmom was behind me, reading over my shoulder, and the smile slid clean off her face. She didn't shout. That was worse. My stepmom leaned against the counter like gravity had tilted toward her. Her fingers tapped the marble, 3 quick beats, then silence, the same rhythm she used when lying at family dinners. The kitchen fan hummed, stretching the moment thin. "Those receipts don't mean what you think," she said softly, as if softness could rewrite paper. I folded the page without looking at her. Outside, the kids were lining up their shoes by the door, pretending excitement was still possible. My daughter placed her tiny sneakers perfectly straight, the way she does when she feels out of control. My phone buzzed again. Elias had sent one line: "We need bank statements." No. I opened the safe in my office, the small one behind the bookshelf my late father built. Inside lay the accounts I'd kept untouched: college savings, park tickets, rainy day money I had worked overtime to protect. When I returned, the envelope was gone. The counter was bare. The marble was clean. Even the crease where the paper had rested had vanished. My stepmom stood in the hallway, already buttoning her coat. "You're overreacting," she said, eyes bright, almost kind. "Don't turn lunch into a war." Behind her, my son held up his folded tickets like a question he was too afraid to ask. I looked past her, and saw the office lights still on, the bookshelf slightly ajar, a thin shadow slipping inside. For the first time all day my calm broke, not outward but inward, like ice cracking under deep water. The bookshelf didn't slam, it breathed. I stepped into my office and felt the air shift, as if someone had just slipped through a door that no longer existed. Papers lay exactly where I'd left them, yet nothing felt untouched. My father's old desk creaked under my palm. The wood carried the memory of every late night I'd spent protecting what little stability my kids had. On the floor I found the envelope, flattened, empty, arranged with surgical neatness. My stepmom appeared in the doorway, coat still on her shoulders like armor. "You're scaring the children," she said, not unkindly. Not honestly either. Her voice moved around the truth instead of through it. From the hallway, I heard my daughter humming the carousel song she loved, soft and stubborn, as if melody could keep the world from tilting. My son stacked the tickets again, lining up their edges with obsessive care. I opened my laptop and pulled the bank portal. Numbers bloomed across the screen, transfers disguised as reimbursements, withdrawals dressed up as family expenses. Each line felt like a small cut I hadn't noticed until now. My phone vibrated. Elias again. Freeze the account tonight. Don't confront her alone. I glanced up. My stepmom was watching me, really watching, and for a heartbeat something cracked behind her polished calm. Fear maybe. Or regret. Or both. Then she smiled too smooth. Dinner's at 6, she said lightly. Don't make this awkward. As she walked away, the house exhaled a cold breath. On my screen, one transaction blinked, dated today just minutes ago. And it was still pending. Dinner arrived like a performance I didn't buy a ticket for. The table was set too perfectly, cloth ironed into submission, silver aligned like soldiers, candles trembling in their glass sleeves. The smell of rosemary and butter curled through the house, pretending warmth into a room that felt clinical. My stepmom moved with graceful efficiency, plating food for everyone except my children. She placed their bowls last, plain pasta, no garnish, no butter, no eye contact. My daughter stared at her plate, then at me as if asking permission to be disappointed. I sat very still. Elias's words echoed in my head, don't confront her alone. So I didn't speak. I observed, the way a storm learns the landscape before breaking. Halfway through dinner, my son pushed his bowl away. I'm not hungry, he said quietly. The room tightened. My stepmom laughed lightly. See? Children don't need extravagance. I watched my kids leave the table together, shoulders touching like two small planets orbiting each other for safety. From the hallway came the faint rustle of folded amusement park tickets, their last remaining proof of hope. I turned back to my plate and opened my phone under the table. The pending transaction had cleared. $12,450. Destination, a luxury resort account in her daughter's name. I slid my thumb across the screen and sent the confirmation to Elias. 3 dots appeared instantly. Across from me, my stepmom lifted her wineglass, eyes bright, perfectly composed. I lifted mine too, but didn't drink. Somewhere upstairs, my daughter began humming again, slower now, as if the melody itself were learning how to grieve. And in that moment I understood. This dinner wasn't about food, it was a rehearsal for erasing my children. Night settled over the house like a sheet pulled too tight. Upstairs, my children lay on their beds with the lights off, but I knew neither of them was sleeping. I could hear the faint shuffle of paper, the tickets again, passing between small hands like something fragile that refused to disappear. Downstairs, my stepmom moved through the kitchen as if nothing had shifted. Water ran in the sink, glass clinked against glass, cabinets whispered open and closed. Ordinary sounds that felt rehearsed. I sat at my father's old desk and waited for the clock to strike 9. At 8:58 my phone buzzed. Elias, accounts frozen. Records secured. We move tomorrow. I closed my laptop and felt the house breathe differently, lighter but lonelier. When I stepped into the hallway, my stepmom was standing by the staircase, coat gone now, hair loose, voice almost gentle. You don't understand, she said. Family isn't math. I looked past her to my children's closed doors, 2 small lights glowing under the frames like distant lighthouses. I understand more than you think, I replied. She searched my face for anger, for a scene, for something she could outmaneuver. She found only quiet. From upstairs, my daughter began humming again, the carousel tune, softer than ever, drifting down the stairs like smoke. My stepmom listened too. For a moment, her composure cracked, just a hairline fracture across porcelain. Then she straightened. I'm canceling the park, she said calmly. They don't deserve it. The words hung between us like winter air. Behind me, the clock clicked, and somewhere in the dark, 2 children folded their tickets one last time. Morning came pale and precise, like a photograph washed in rain. The house felt emptied of noise before I even reached the stairs. In the kitchen, coffee cooled untouched. The scent of toast hung in the air like a question no one wanted to answer. My children sat at the table, back straight, hands folded around their folded tickets. My stepmom was already dressed, heels clicking, phone in hand, moving with the brisk certainty of someone who believes motion is truth. She slid past us without looking up. At 9:02 a.m. my phone rang. Elias didn't waste breath. She canceled the park through your account, he said. Then billed you the penalty fee. But we've traced something bigger. I looked at my kids. My daughter kept humming, now barely audible, like a memory she was trying not to lose. My son placed the tickets flat on the table and smoothed their creases as if order could protect him. Through the window, I saw my stepmom speaking to her daughter in the driveway, laughing too brightly, hands slicing the air. Her reflection wavered in the glass. I stepped outside and met her halfway across the yard. She opened her mouth, prepared, polished, but I simply handed her one printed page. Bank records. Cling. Unmistakable. Her laughter stopped mid-breath. Behind me, the front door creaked open. My children stood together on the threshold, sunlight touching their faces like a promise they were still afraid to believe in. My stepmom's eyes flicked to them, then back to me, and in that narrow space between looks, the story of our family tilted irreversibly. The yard felt suddenly too wide, as if the house itself had stepped back to watch. My stepmom read the page once, then again, slower, like someone learning a language she had always pretended not to understand. Color drained from her face, not in panic, but in recognition. Facts have that quiet cruelty. Elias arrived without sirens, without drama. Just a calm black car at the curb and a man who spoke softly but carried the weight of inevitability. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Paper, when honest, is louder than anger. I didn't gloat. I didn't accuse. I simply stood beside my children as the truth unfolded in neat, undeniable lines. Accounts frozen, funds traced, responsibility clear. My stepmom looked at my kids, really looked, and for the first time since lunch there was no performance in her eyes, only the empty echo of choices she could not take back. The park tickets lay on the table inside, no longer folded. Sunlight passed through them like stained glass, painting faint colors across the floor. My daughter stopped humming, my son slipped his hand into mine. Elias turned to me. "Your children's money is safe," he said. "Not rescued. Not won. Simply returned." My stepmom stepped off the porch and crossed the gate without another word. The latch clicked, a small, ordinary sound that somehow ended a family. Inside, my children laughed softly at a cartoon on the fridge, their voices light, unburdened. I exhaled, finally, and felt the house settle into something steadier, not happiness but justice that felt like calm. And in that quiet I realized, protecting them had never been about punishment. It had always been about keeping their future intact.